Hey viewers and friends, Andrew back again, and welcome to another video. And I'm here to do a contest entry for Kevin, Dr. Haslam, one of my really good friends here on YouTube. He's running his first contest, and I definitely had to support it and enter. Me and Kevin have already discussed this prior to my video. This is not going to be an official entry, however I still wanted to support the contest and answer the questions, but I will not be eligible for being drawn out of the prize pool. The reason for that is I already own the prizes on offer, so I wanted to give someone else the opportunity to win them, but I still wanted to support the contest. So I am going to answer the questions, but I will not be eligible to be drawn out of the hat. So Kevin is a fantastic YouTuber. I love his videos. He's become a really close friend of mine on here. We chat back and forth a lot, and the presentation in your videos, Kevin, as I've said a million times before, is absolutely fantastic. So if you aren't subscribed to Kevin and you're wanting another movie buff to check out, I highly recommend it. I'll be leaving his channel link in the description box below, so please check him out if you haven't. He is well worth subscribing to. Alright, let's get on to the questions. So Kevin asked 3 questions, and question number 1 is, what is your favourite film trilogy? So I'm sure we all know that there's been some absolutely fantastic trilogies out there, and this kind of took some thinking because I was going to go with a few, but then I sort of found that one of the movies within the film trilogy I didn't really like as much as some of the others, so I really didn't feel that that would be a valid thing for a favourite trilogy, and it did take some thinking, but I did come up with one. I don't even own these movies actually, which is kind of crazy, but I have ordered them this week, and I really cannot wait to add them into the collection. I grew up on these movies during the 90s, and I've seen all 3 of them countless times, and that is none other than the Mighty Ducks trilogy. Possibly a random choice and something that most of you would not expect me to say, but I think this is a fantastic sports trilogy, ice hockey trilogy. The first movie, of course, we see Emilio Estevez turn up as coach to a pretty ragtag team of junior hockey players, and of course he used to be a professional player himself, and he basically coaches them and they become winners. The second movie sees them represent USA in the hockey games. Part 2 is probably my favourite. I really enjoy that sequel a lot. And then part 3 we see them head off to a private school. So yeah, really solid trilogy. I enjoy all 3 movies, and I cannot wait to get them into my collection and rewatch them again because it has been quite some time. So yeah, my favourite film trilogy is the Mighty Ducks. Alright, so question 2 is, what movie do you think defines the 80s? And again, this took some thinking because most of you know that the 80s is my favourite decade for pretty much anything, especially film, and there's been a ton of fantastic 80s movies that I think definitely define the decade. Initially, of course, I was thinking I could talk about The Goonies, but honestly, compared to a lot of other films, I don't really think The Goonies really has that 80s vibe to it. But after some thinking, I've decided I'm going to say The Lost Boys. I think The Lost Boys perfectly defines what the 80s is all about, especially in terms of horror. You've got a couple of 80s staples in terms of actors within the movie, of course, the 2 Coreys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. I think the setting is absolutely fantastic. You know, it captures what 80s beachside California is all about. The clothing is awesome. They ride 80s style dirt bikes. Great soundtrack, and of course some pretty outrageous 80s hairstyles. So yeah, I think The Lost Boys is pretty much the perfect definition of an 80s movie. Alright, moving on to question 3. Alright, so question 3 is, what is your favourite horror sequel? And I've got quite a few. There's been some absolutely fantastic horror sequels, as I'm sure everyone knows, and even some that beat out the original for me. But really thinking about it, I couldn't talk about any other movie for this question apart from Child's Play 2. Now, I think the first Child's Play film is absolutely fantastic. In fact, it was the first horror movie I ever saw, but part 2 I think is a lot better, and it's definitely my favourite when it comes to a horror sequel. I think they did everything so much better than the first one. I really love the foster home environment that Andy's in. Chucky is a lot better in part 2, I think, especially in terms of his brutality with the kills. It has a higher body count, and the ending in the toy factory is just frigging awesome. So yeah, Child's Play 2 is my favourite horror sequel. Alright, so there you go. That is my contest entry for you, Kevin. Just remember, do not include me in the drawing, but I still definitely wanted to support the contest and do an unofficial entry all the same. So great set of questions. I really enjoyed answering all 3 of them. Best of luck to everyone else that's entered or that is planning to enter. And remember, Kevin's channel link will be left in the description box below, so if you aren't subscribed to him, please head on over and do so. Check him out. Kevin, I hope you've enjoyed my entry, and thanks a lot for watching.